Hey everybody, welcome to Safety Center's podcast again. I'm Kyle Fromer. I will be hosting this for the first time ever with us. And since my first time hosting, we decided to do a little bit of a different avenue in the world of safety than we usually do, focusing on workplace safety and everything. And we decided to talk to some of our motorcycle safety instructors and let them share their vast amount of knowledge on this topic and how it can help those in our community looking to get out there and learn to ride. Today I have Lisa and Vince with me. If you guys would like to give us a quick introduction, a little bit about yourselves, why you wanted to teach motorcycle training, where your passion comes from, how long you've been doing it, that kind of stuff. That would be amazing. We can start with Lisa if you'd like to.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Kyle. My name is Lisa. I have been riding motorcycles since I was a kid and mainly been riding dirt bikes. I used to ride with my friends in my neighborhood and on my property. My dad used to build us jumps that we can go and ride around, and then also did a little bit of riding out at some of the local recreation parks out here, Prairie City being one of them, having some tracks to ride, did a little bit of racing, but mainly just a lot of fun. And then as I got older, I wanted to learn how to ride a street motorcycle. So I wanted to take the skills that I learned on a dirt bike and then transfer that over to being safe and learning the proper techniques on the road with other drivers around, not just other dirt bikes or ATVs. So I came out and I took the Safety Center course and learned how to ride a motorcycle properly, and I really enjoyed it. And they liked me so much that I've been an instructor ever since and been out there for the last 6 years. And I think it's a really great program because for the Safety Center, we have a lot of fantastic instructors that enjoy teaching the program. So it's very much a family dynamic of having the instructors be out there and teach the new riders that come in, whether they're experienced or not, and seeing that light and that joy go off in their eyes of when they finally understand how to ride that motorcycle, but more importantly, how to learn that they have the capability to put that bike where they want it, when they want it. So it's a lot of fun to have students come out there, learn how to ride, have a lot of joy, but it's also a lot of fun for us instructors out there on the weekends as well. And we have a lot of fun and definitely are a little sarcastic, but way better than just being stiff robots out there.
That sounds fun to me. Vince, you want to give us a quick bio on the fly for you?
Sure. My name is Vince, like Kyle just said. Motorcycling has been in my family ever since I can remember. I think my first ride on a motorcycle was probably about 3-4 years old, sitting between my dad's knees, hanging onto the tank. We had mini bikes and all that, and as soon as we could reach the foot pegs and operate the controls, he sent us loose out in the field and learned to ride a motorcycle. I've been on one basically my entire life. I had ridden for nearly 40 years before I took my first training course, which was at the Safety Center. And what amazed me the most about the course was it taught me how much I did not know about riding a machine. Simple things like the concept of countersteering. I had been doing it all the years, but I had no mental concept of what the motorcycle was doing when I had turned a motorcycle at road speeds. I had never thought about practicing my crash avoidant techniques like swerving at speed or a maximum threshold braking. And realizing that and how much it impacted me, I needed to become an instructor because of the value in it. It just became so apparently clear to me that training to ride a motorcycle is critical to saving your life and preventing injuries. And like Lisa said, out there on the range, I've been teaching for 13 years. I'm in my 13th year at the Safety Center. And when you see the students, they'll come out and they'll have a little fear to them, a little intimidated. But when it starts to make sense to them and they start applying the techniques that we teach, and you see them accomplish, and the light goes on, and the thrill, now they want to try the next task that we ask them to do. And as you see it all come together and they gain the riding skills and they gain the confidence in themselves, it's one of the most amazing things to watch. a person grow in one weekend. That's the main reason I do it is I know we're making a difference, saving lives out there.
Sounds amazing. So I wanted to touch on a little thing that kind of both of you share, and that was the taking a class at Safety Center before becoming an instructor with us. And, as you guys know, Safety Centers, we're really focused on delivering like high quality products. And since you both had taken the class with that and then transferred into being an instructor, I thought we could maybe touch on, what's one of those things like, what do our instructors have in common that you work with? And like, what are kind of the credentials that someone potentially wanting to be a motorcycle instructor would require? Like, what do we look for, as Team Safety Center in our instructors?
Well, all right, I'll take that. First off, we're looking for experienced riders. Our instructors all have years of experience, but more importantly, we look for personality. We need to be engaging, outgoing, sense of humor, and like, hey, maybe a little sarcastic, because if you can interact with people, you can motivate them to do something that they might be a little afraid to do. So the last 3 instructors we had go through training, they spent 1.5 years on the range learning the program on top of their riding experience, just to become a certified teacher to teach the program at the level we at the Safety Center uphold.
Awesome. A little bit before we actually started recording this podcast, we were just talking back and forth, and I was mentioning how, I'm way too scared to go ride a motorcycle, and you guys were telling me how, you get people like that all the time in the classes and how they can transition in that. Would you like to touch a little bit on, that kind of stuff? Have you seen that, someone maybe like me, scared of a motorcycle, intimidated by it the first time, what I should consider when I'm like looking at this course? Like, what's it going to be like for me?
Well, I'll start with that one, Vince.
Okay.
I love when people come out that have never even touched a motorcycle. Like maybe they've looked at it in a photo. Those are the best people that come out onto the range because they don't know what to expect, which is nice. So we can teach them everything that they need to know from the very beginning. So as I was talking to you, Kyle, we have classroom sessions and we also have range sessions. So everything that we're going to teach you in the classroom, we're going to teach you how to get the motorcycle to start, how to mount it properly, how to find your primary controls, how to get the engine to start rolling on the throttle or applying your brakes, how to properly stop the bike. So the first day of classroom is teaching you about the motorcycle and wearing proper riding gear. Then we come out and we actually put you on the range, find you a motorcycle that fits you properly, and then find all of those primary controls, secondary controls, where everything is on the bike before we actually send you out there to just figure it out. We actually walk you through everything one step at a time so that everybody can learn on the same page and grow on the same page as well, so that nobody's ever being left behind. But that I think really helps to take a brand new person who's never seen, never touched, never ridden a motorcycle before and help build their confidence, because we're showing them, here's where your throttle is, here's where your key is, this is what a clutch does so that you can properly control the motorcycle. If you feel uncomfortable, we are always right there to take you every step of the way, because while you might not have confidence in yourself yet, we as instructors are your confidence. We are there for you so that we can walk you through every step of the way. And I think both Vince and myself and any instructor out there, we will always tell everybody that comes through, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay if you don't know what you're doing yet. You don't need to, because we're going to help guide you onto that path of teaching you the correct techniques and how to do everything properly so that you do stay safe, not only just on our course, but when you eventually graduate and leave us and go out onto the road. So highly recommend anybody to come through that has never touched a motorcycle. We're going to have a lot of fun. But also for the people that have had experience too, and maybe have a couple of years underneath their belt, they should definitely come out also, because we have that tendency to build bad habits and start to diminish our skills, or not just be as fully focused, and not maybe know how to take those proper techniques and skills and controls and use shortcuts to get around them. So it's always good to have the experienced riders come out as well, so that we can break those bad habits, reteach them the proper techniques, so that they are also keeping themselves out on the road alive and going home to their loved ones at the end of the day.
That's awesome. So it sounds like there's a bit there for everybody. Is there anything, getting right down to like the nitty gritty of it, is there anything that, people can benefit directly through something like the DMV from the motorcycle courses?
Yeah, there is, Kyle. A lot of riders, they can't do the DMV riding test. There's a written test and a riding test at DMV that you must pass. And a lot of riders can't pass that DMV, they call it the lollipop. And that's what it looks like. So the experienced riders come to our organization, and if you pass our course, it waives the riding portion down at DMV. So all you have to do is take the written test. It's a great function of our program, but that's not the primary function why we teach it. Our goal is to limit crashes and injuries on motorcycles. So it's kind of nice that they come to us to bypass the lollipop test at DMV, because every one of them walks away. And I've heard comments from experienced riders going, I don't know how I lived this long riding a motorcycle without training. Or that technique that you told me you taught yesterday, I used it on my way home and it transformed my ride. So I don't care if they're using it to get by the DMV program. Once they come into the program and they learn what they don't know, they walk away a better rider, a safer rider. And that's our primary function, is to make people safe, keep people alive.
And a lot of people go through that DMV test, like Vince was saying, and they don't know how to properly do a counterweight technique to try to say make a U-turn, or they don't know how to properly counter steer to get past their cones that they have. So if they don't know how to do that just to pass a test at the DMV, coming through us, they're just going to learn so much, which, like Vince was saying, they're going to be able to go home at the end of the day, which is what we want. We want people to stay safe out on the road, know what they're doing, and have to use that expert judgment instead of their expert skills, so that at the end of the day, they're with their loved ones and they can say, I had a great ride. I had fun.
Right. That sounds great. Speaking of that, is there anything like quick little, I'm hearing a lot of, like counterbalance, all this kind of sounds like, mumbo jumbo to me. Are there any like quick, for our more experienced riders who might be listening on this, are there any like quick best practice tips that, if you had like one tip that you could say like will make you a better rider just by, looking into this, or like if you didn't have time to do a whole course on it, but like just to find some more info out about this one tip, like do you have anything like that?
I have two that I'll say. My first one is turn your head and look where you're going, because the further you look, your bike will follow and you can gather information on the road as well as look for obstacles out there. So that is one of the biggest things that we teach out there, because we have a tendency to look right here, or while we're driving, we look right at the car in front of us. But when you're on a motorcycle, you need to be thinking about what's coming next, so you know how to react before you're at that object or turn or wherever you're out on the road. So turning your head is major. It's going to completely change your riding. It's going to make you a better rider just by looking further and looking beyond what is right in front of your tire. And then the second one that I would have is understanding counter steering. A lot of people don't understand how the physics and the dynamics of it work, which is why it's nice to have them come through the course, because we can really teach them that you're not just turning the handlebars where you want to go. You're actually pushing on the hand grips to lean in the direction. And the more you push, or the more you use your body to lean in that direction, the more the bike is going to turn where you want to go. So counter steering is my biggest one, and turning your head. How about you, Vince?
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you right there. Looking at the statistics where the dangers and the threats are, 50% of the riders killed, Kyle, are single vehicle crashes in a corner. And it's because they're doing their corners incorrectly. They have bad technique. And one of them that Lisa touched on is not looking far enough through. And the other one is ineffective counter steering, not being able to handle their machine. And the third mistake they make is they just go too fast into the corner. So coming in too fast, not looking far enough in front of them, and not being able to steer that bike. 50% of the riders dying are because they don't do their corners right. And 100% of those are preventable with training. I want to touch on what Lisa said, looking farther ahead, gathering that information earlier. And the way I look at it is the farther ahead you look, the farther in front of your motorcycle your brain is. And you're making decisions before you even get to that point of the road. So you're always in a preparatory mode, and that keeps you out of that reactionary mode, that last second, oh my goodness sort of thing. And it's motorcycle riding is 10% physical and 90% mental to stay alive out there. And these are also, we talk not only about the physical, but the mental tasks and mental techniques in the program about motorcycle riding and how it's applied, that it takes your entire being to operate and ride safely and survive. Everybody knows what traffic's like. Nobody pays attention anymore. There's road rage. And it's you against everything out there trying to kill you when you're on a motorcycle. So yeah, looking farther and understanding counter steering will go a long ways to train you to be a better rider, to keep you alive.
Awesome. So we've been touching a little bit on, safety aspects of motorcycles, the danger that might be involved. We know sometimes you guys might get a hard time being motorcycle enthusiasts. Like, why is it worth it? It's dangerous. Everybody I know who had a motorcycle, got hurt or something like that. And I know like people with a passion for it are, sometimes constantly having to defend that passion. Are there any like misconceptions about like riding motorcycles that you could share that, the general public might think, but, they're just way off base?
I have a few, but I'll let Vince go first on this one.
Okay. It's always ladies first. I was raised a gentleman, but yeah, sure, Lisa.
I went first last time. Your turn.
Okay. Misconceptions is that it's dangerous. Yes, it is. I will agree with that. And I am scared. I have a fear every time I get on a motorcycle, but it's a healthy fear of, if I get this wrong, the consequences. So that healthy fear is there to make sure I ride my ride right, and I survive to get home to see my wife. I don't let my fear overwhelm me. So the misconception of it's dangerous and everybody dies is false. We get a lot of kids that come in. I finally turned 18 years old. My parents can't say no anymore. And what I tell them is go have your parents come through the class, because they'll understand the training, both physical and mental, that you get will go a long way to slaying that monster that they've created in their mind about motorcycle riding. It can be done safe. It can be done without danger. And I will tell you what, it is one of the most exhilarating, fun things you can ever do in your life. I've been riding for over 50 years, Kyle. I'm still here.
Right.
Right. So, it can be done safe, and good training, knowing what you're doing out there, paying attention to everybody else on the road, making smart decisions is the biggest way you can do that to stay alive.
Awesome. Lisa, you had something you wanted to chip in with that?
Yeah, of course. No, of course I do. I'm a motorcyclist. I have opinions about everything. What I would say is that for the people that come through and that misconception of riding a motorcycle is dangerous, I'd say yes, absolutely. But as Vince also said too, everything out there is 100% preventable if you know how to apply the proper technique, or you know what you're watching for, or you know your own limitations and capabilities, as well as your motorcycle's limitations and capabilities. So I think the problem that most people have with riding a motorcycle is dangerous. Well, people out on the road are dangerous.
Yeah, driving your car is dangerous.
Driving your car is dangerous, absolutely. And what a motorcyclist has to do is we have to be at a 110% A game while we're out there. We need to constantly be aware of our surroundings. We got to be assessing what other people might do, not just what they're doing, but what they might potentially do, and then be able to take that proper action to avoid it. So you can't just go out and say, cool, I'm going to go to work today, and get lazy like we do in our car and just zone out and not pay attention. Because if you're doing that on a motorcycle, you are going to inevitably end up somehow hurting yourself, because we're more vulnerable out there. So you have to be, like Vince said, 90% of it is mental. And so you need to be watching and focusing on what everybody else is doing, and then know how to react to it. So, I mean, 50%, as he said, of fatalities are single riders in a curve. Well, 25% of fatalities are also riders rear-ending other vehicles because they don't know how to properly stop, or they're following too close, or they're going too fast, or they're not looking properly ahead to see that there's an intersection and someone might pull out in front of them. So it's dangerous. But if you have the proper training and really the right mental focus on what you're doing out there, then those should be risks that aren't happening as often, because you're preparing yourself for them instead of having to react to them. So, and then the other misconception, because I know you said misconception, a lot of riders come through and say, well, I have a loud pipe because it saves lives. Loud pipe saves lives. We get that constantly. So if we think about the way that sound travels, okay, a pipe is behind us, and the sound of that pipe is going back in that direction. So as you're in a car and you're flying, say you're splitting lanes and you're flying by somebody, or you're going in the second lane next to them, the car does not hear you until you're literally right next to them. And a lot of times with loud pipes, we tend to get scared because we're not used to that sound happening. So if you're in your car sitting in traffic and a motorcycle comes along with a very loud pipe, we tend to tense. And if you're holding your hands on the steering wheel and you tense, well, that car can also go towards that motorcycle, because we tend to go towards the sound that happens. So the misconception of loud pipe saves lives is, I think it's been on the motorcycle radar for a really long time. And I think we all try to really explain that you can have a loud pipe and you can be cool, but inevitably it's not what's saving your life. Your skills and your abilities and your judgment are.
And I agree with Lisa. I would prefer to rely on my skills and judgment to save me, other than hoping some people hear a noise.
Right.
So,
and I can say,
no, go ahead, Kyle.
Oh, I was just going to say, I can say from experience, I've definitely done the jump when a motorcycle's gone by really loudly too. So.
Right.
I do it too, and I'm used to riding a motorcycle. I'd still get freaked out.
Right. And I want to touch on Lisa's first point about keeping your head in the game. On a motorcycle, I tell almost all the students that you have to change the way you think. We are the apex predator on this world. We're the top of the food chain. And so we have a predator mindset. And this is why road rage happens, because we are the top beast. But when you get on a motorcycle on the road, you are now the bottom of that food chain in that world. And you have to change your mindset from predator to prey. Everything out there can kill you and wants to kill you. And that's what she's talking about, is analyzing not only what you're doing, what everybody else around you is doing also. And you make decisions based on all those observations. It's a change in mindset. Like I said, it's more mental than physical.
Right. That's awesome. Thank you for that insight. Just a couple more quick questions. Speaking of just the demographic of people who come through your classes, like you said, experienced riders, new riders, have you seen any kind of shift lately in the demographics, ages, genders, different type of bike rider, like the three-wheel bikes, that kind of thing? Has any of that been like kind of switching it up surprisingly lately?
Well, the biggest trend I've seen lately is the boomers are getting older. They're empty nesters. They rode a motorcycle, as their teens or early 20s, gave it up when they had a family, and now they want to get back on it. And the biggest threat there is the technology is not the same. It's a lot more advanced. There's a lot more horsepower, and their skills are rusty. So they go out and buy a bike, think they know how to ride, and end up getting in trouble. So we're getting a lot of those people coming in because they want to get back on. They want to do it safely. They got grandkids coming, and they want to get back on a motorcycle because once it's in your blood, it's there for your entire life. It never goes away. Lisa, what trends have you seen?
Well, I was going to say that one, but I think to add on to that just a little bit for riding a motorcycle, I think you're going to be a safer rider if you realize that you have something worth living for. Like, I have my husband and my dogs and my family, and I want to make sure that at the end of the day I go home to them. Vince has his wife and his dogs. Other people have children that they want to go home to at the end of the day. So it's actually nice to get some of the boomers, as Vince was saying, they're coming in because they're coming back in with a mindset of, I want to make sure that I'm riding this motorcycle safely because I want to go home at the end of the day. And I think that's a really nice change that we're getting, because on the flip side of that, Vince already touched on it for a moment, was that they just turned 18, they get their license, they can go out, they can learn how to ride a motorcycle, and they're fearless, right? So they come out and are like, I'm going to get a bike and I am going to go fast. And they're going to get themselves in trouble. So, having the two totally different demographics, and we get a range of people. We get, the 15-year-olds who literally just got their permit and they're like, yes, let's go, to the, I've been riding for the last 50, 60, 70 years and I want to come out and hone my skills back in, to the, I'm just coming back into riding a motorcycle. But the nice part is that as instructors, we can teach you in whatever stage of life that you're in. All that we ask is you take the feedback that we give you, because all we want is to make you a better motorcyclist and rider at the end of the day, so that you can stay safe out on the road. And additionally, we're getting more females out there, which is awesome. I am very happy about that. So I would say I'm a little bit more on the side of, I tend to go towards the male sports. I liked playing baseball. I like riding motorcycles. I liked playing soccer, things like that, right? A little bit more of a tomboy setting. But we're getting more females out there that want to ride, and a lot of them are coming through and going, you know what, I've been on the back of my boyfriend, husband's, whatever's motorcycle, and now I want to take control and I want to be in the driver's seat. And I'm so glad that they're coming through, because it's fun. Like, it's the best sport in the world. It really is. And there's nothing like it. Like, you can drive a car, right? You're excited when you drive a car when you're like 15 and 16 and you just get your license. You're like, oh, I can go places, freedom. Well, when you're on a motorcycle, you're have all the freedom in the world. If you want to make a corner and you want to take that corner a little bit harder, you could just push more and lean more. If you want to practice your maximum braking, do it in a safe location, but you get to control every aspect of that motorcycle, which I think is the best part. But having more females coming through is really great. And hi, I'm out there. You can come hang out with me. I will teach you how to ride a motorcycle. So you're not just learning from the guys who have been in the sport for a very long time, but if you don't feel comfortable around them, I will teach you.
Sounds fun.
I will touch on that. Not only Lisa, we have 3 female instructors on staff, and all of them are as highly trained and energetic and have a love for the sport and making sure people stay safe as Lisa does. We understand there's probably 20% of our students are female. And it is, like Lisa said, that was the other trend I was going to touch on. I'm glad she did. It's that apparent, right?
Awesome. This all sounds great. Last question. I won't keep you guys much longer. we know the hot topic thing, everybody talking about COVID-19, how that's affecting businesses. How have we been kind of pivoting and adjusting so that people can still get this, life-saving training they need during these times?
Very good question, Kyle. For one, the classrooms, they're done on a Zoom platform now. We really try to engage. We have 2 instructors, one teaching and one engaging the students with chat, answering questions. And then on the range, we're taking proper COVID precautions, temperature checks, wearing masks. We sanitize everything from the writing pens that they use to do their tests, to the clipboards when they're done, to the key on the motorcycle. Safety center, what else do we need to say? Everything we do is for the safety of our students and the safety of the clientele that come through. Did I miss anything, Lisa?
Additional to that, I'd say we really appreciate that we can still do the program, because we were shut down for, a few months with uncertainty and what was going on. But we also really appreciate everybody that's coming in and also wearing the masks and keeping social distancing and being cautious of everybody out there, because while we are in uncertain times, we can't do this program unless everybody participates with us. So definitely appreciate people coming out, because people coming out want to learn how to ride and don't want to be stuck in their house because of everything that's going on. So they're more willing to take those added precautions just so that they can, feel the joys of riding a motorcycle. So definitely appreciate that too, because we want to be good.
In this COVID world, you know what? The one thing you can still do that's a lot of fun is go for a ride on a motorcycle.
Thank you guys very much for spending this time with us. I know, Lisa, you have to actually run off to go teach a motorcycle class right now. So we'll end it here. Thank you, both of you guys. This has been great. I've learned a lot. It was a lot of fun for me.
All right. I'm glad you did, Kyle.